Hello everybody and welcome back to Blue Jay Acres. Thank you so much for stopping by. So today I am busy cleaning and cooking. So we're gonna do a full day of meals and share lots of cooking with you guys here in the kitchen. So let's just go on and get started, and you won't see me again till the end. Let's go. Alright, so today for breakfast Theo requested banana bread, and I have a bunch of bananas that need to be used up, so that works out perfect. So I'm gonna do 2 loaves here, one with chocolate chips, one without. So I'm just gonna make the basic double batch banana bread first. So here I'm gonna start with probably 6 bananas. I'm gonna grab one more. I'm gonna start with 6 bananas. And then I'm just gonna mash mine up with a fork. And just mash all 6 real good. To this I'm gonna add 1.5 cups of sugar. I'm just using raw sugar. I'm gonna go in and do 4 teaspoons of baking powder. One teaspoon of baking soda. Half a teaspoon of salt. I have 4 eggs here. I have 4 tablespoons of milk. And 3.5 cups of flour. So there's 1, 2, 3.5. And I'm gonna add 2/3 cup of melted butter. Now I'm just gonna mix this all together. Trying not to make too big of a mess. I'm always making a mess. Making sure that I break in my egg yolks. Now you could mix all your wet together and then add all your dry if you wanted to do it that way. Or just take the easy way like I did and just mix it all together. I have my oven preheated, 350 degrees. That looks pretty perfect. All right, I'm gonna spray down 2 loaf pans here. I'm gonna go on and put half the batter in one, and that way that one is just plain. A little bit more. The other half of the batter, I'm going to just add some chocolate chips. And just stir that in. And pour that in my other loaf pan. You could also add some cinnamon to this if you want. That'd be good. So my plain loaf down here, I like to do is I like to top it with some walnuts or pecans. Not everybody likes nuts in the house, but they can pick them off if they don't like them. But pretty much the people that don't like nuts like the chocolate chip better anyway, so That's it. I'm gonna pop these in the oven for about 50 minutes. While that's cooking, I have 2 small pork roasts here that I'm gonna get going in the crock pot. So with this pork roast, you're gonna see I have an open jar of cowboy candy here that I just need to use up because it's been open long enough. So we canned this, and it looks like in March. I'm gonna just take some of this juice because later we're gonna make some corn muffins to go with lunch, and I'll use some of that too. I'm gonna sprinkle some of this cowboy candy juice on here. A few jalapenos fell in, that's okay. This stuff is so amazing. So amazing. To that, I'm also gonna add a little bit of white wine. Then a little bit of salt, pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder. I'm just keeping it really simple. You could add onions, you could add garlic. I'm just trying to just do a kind of a fast, easy dinner, and that's what I'm doing. So let's get this going. I'm gonna cook it on low all day long. Okay, next I need to go on and start some bread, which I haven't made bread, it feels like in forever. But the first thing I'm gonna do is I've got 2 cups of warm milk here. Again, I always tell everybody you don't have to use milk. You can use water, you can use a mix of water and milk if you want. You can make bread. Once you start making it, it's really not hard. A lot of people are intimidated by it, but once you find your recipe you like, you just go with it, and it's really not that hard. Next, I'm gonna add some honey to this because I'm gonna use some whole wheat flour today. When I use whole wheat, I prefer honey, but you do not have to use honey. You could use sugar, you can use maple syrup. You just need something to feed the yeast. I like honey when I use whole wheat. I'm gonna do a mix of the 2 today. And I like to use quite a bit of honey actually. And sometimes I even add molasses to that as well. To this, I'm gonna add 1.5 tablespoons of yeast. This is gonna make 2 loaves of bread. I'm gonna lift it and just give it a little stir. And then I'm gonna let this sit. Now my milk was warm. It's just warm to touch. It's not hot at all, but it's not cold either. And if you replace and do that with water, you're gonna wanna do the same thing. Just warm to the touch water. Because if it's too warm, it's gonna kill your yeast. So you don't wanna do that. So now we're gonna let this just rise and get all nice and bubbly. It takes about 10 minutes. Okay, so now this is all nice and bubbly, if you guys can see that. I am gonna add an egg. That's completely optional. I'm just going to today. I am also gonna add a teaspoon of salt. You don't wanna skimp on the salt because that is really what gives it a lot of flavor. I'm also gonna add some melted butter, probably about 1/4 cup. You could skip that and just add oil. You can melt lard. You just need a fat to help just keep it soft. But we've also made it without any of it and not had a fat. But it definitely is softer and I think better with the fat in it. Then I'm gonna add some of this whole wheat flour. I'm gonna do about 3 cups of whole wheat. And this is just fresh ground wheat from our wheat berries. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of the white flour. So altogether, you're gonna probably go more like 6 cups of flour. I always say 4 to 5, but I'd say it's more like 6. But start with probably 5 cups of flour and then just add as you need it. I'm gonna let this just slowly mix up and do its thing. All right, so you can see I'm gonna let this just knead for a little while. But that turned out pretty perfect, so I'm not gonna add anything to this. I'm just gonna let it knead for a few minutes. All right, I think that's been long enough. So next, I am just gonna cover this and let it rise for about an hour. Sometimes an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. You just want it to rise to be double in size. So I'm just gonna cover that. Here is the banana bread. It is all done. All right, so here is the banana bread. Of course, you gotta have a little bit of butter on it. On the plain anyway. And then not on the chocolate chip. And Charles is gonna be your taste tester. All right, Charles is gonna be our taste tester.
Again, I'd like to reiterate, I have the hardest job in the world.
He wanted the regular today, but Theo is waiting for the chocolate chip, and yes, they're hot. I always get that look. How'd it turn out?
Really good, strong flavor.
Good. And Theo requested the chocolate chip one. He is the reason we're having banana bread instead of just putting them in the freezer for smoothies.
Touch up the other one.
But with chocolate chips.
Oh, with chocolate chips.
He likes the regular better, as do I. But the kids...
I don't know. There's some days I want something sweet, but, you know, don't know what it is. And if you've got this, the chocolate chip one hits the spot.
True. All right, we're gonna go have breakfast. Okay, next I'm gonna start lunch. So I'm gonna just put this on high. And I'm gonna add some rinsed, dried pinto beans. I'm gonna make soup beans and cornbread. I also have this big ham bone. It was frozen that I've had in my freezer for a while. And a little bit more water. Okay, so I'm just gonna let this come to a boil. And the way I do soup beans is it takes hours and I just let it boil and then it'll all cook down. I'll add more water, it'll boil some more, I'll cook down. I'll do that 3 or 4 times. And then I'll add some salt and some baking soda and it'll be done and ready to go. And it's so delicious. So here are the soup beans now that they're boiling really good. Again, I just let it boil down and I'm gonna fill it back up. I'm gonna do that multiple times. So I'm getting the water ready for it until it's all nice and just a really brown soup. It'll be delicious and it smells so good already. Already you can smell all that ham bone. Alright, so as you can see, this is really boiled down, so I'm just gonna fill up the water. This is just water that I'm grabbing from our Berkey filter and filling it up. It's not spring water, it's just filtered water. Alright, let it come back to a boil and that's it. Keep doing that probably 3 or 4 times. Okay, so our bread dough is about ready to punch down, so I'm gonna go on and just spray my 2 loaf pans. You could turn this into dinner rolls or you could turn it into buns, whatever you want. You can really use this recipe for anything. So here it is. We're just gonna punch it down. And I'm gonna divide it into two. This is gonna be a little bit more of a dense bread than a really soft bread. You could just add a little bit more or add a little less flour if you wanted it to be a little softer. But I want to use it for sandwiches mostly, not really dinner rolls. So I'd like it to be a little thicker and heartier to go with some good like tuna salad, something like that. So there they are. And now I'm just gonna cover these and let them rise again. All right, so these loaves of bread are now ready. So I just like to take an egg and just beat it up. You don't have to do this. You could use milk, you could use butter. I just like to do an egg. I like the look that it gives when it's done and the little crispness on top. So I'm gonna top these here with the egg, and then I'm gonna pop these in the oven. I have the oven preheated to 350 degrees. So I'll put these in. All right, I'm gonna pop this in the oven. Here are the soup beans. I have now filled them twice with water. I was just gonna show you how it's kind of starting to turn brown. You can see, again, this needs cooked down. It will get a lot darker and richer looking. So we'll just let it keep cooking. All right, so here is the bread. And soup beans are still going. We're gonna make the cornbread here before long. All right, now we're gonna start the cornbread real quick. Here I'm gonna do 1 cup of flour. One cup of cornmeal, a little over 1/4 cup of melted butter, cup of milk, 2 eggs, it's got a little bit of shell in there, 2 tablespoons of sugar. If you like it sweeter, you could add a little more sugar. 1 tablespoon of baking powder. A 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm just gonna stir this all together. Now, not all of my family will do jalapenos, so I'm gonna do jalapenos in half of it, and the other half I am not. I'm just gonna spray down my muffin tin here. And these make pretty big ones, so I'm going to do 3 plain. Again, they make quite a bit. And then I'm going to do 3 with cowboy candy. So this is like, if you haven't ever had cowboy candy, it's very sweet jalapenos that we canned in this like very sweet syrup. Kind of like a jalapeno jelly. They're very delicious. So I'm gonna add those in here and just stir that around. That'll also add some sweetness to this as well. And then I'm gonna put these in here. All right, now I'm gonna bake these at 350 degrees. All right, now I'm gonna add some salt to this. Give it a stir, and then I'm gonna give it just a little taste. I still want it to thicken up a little bit more, but I'm gonna go and start to season it now. That's so good. That's the perfect amount. I'm just gonna let it keep on going. All right, so now these soup beans are looking nice and done to me. That looks thick enough. So to this, I'm gonna just add a little bit of baking soda, and it's gonna just kind of bubble up. That was my grandma's secret. I might have to remove this from the heat because it's bubbling up nice. It's supposed to help relieve some of the gas from the beans themselves, so that you don't get so much tummy trouble. And now these delicious corn muffins are also done. So everything is ready. As soon as this just finishes bubbling up and settles back down, dinner will be ready. All right, now this is all done, so I'm going to turn this off, and Charles will do a taste test for you guys. Just remove this from the heat. And this is something that I very much grew up eating. Grandma would either make corn muffins or fried cornbread, or she'd make potato pancakes to go with it. Every now and then fried potatoes, but not too often. Sometimes fried corn. But this is always a big treat when I would go to my grandmother's house. She usually would not use a ham bone though. She would usually use salt pork, which is also really good. But you can see this is now just a really nice thick soup. It's very, very good. All right, so the way that we were brought up that you gotta have soup beans is you gotta put a pat of butter and let it melt. And that is just necessary. It makes it taste so much, it's just so good. It's just so good. So, add butter. Sometimes my grandma would even tear up just some white bread and crumble it in it, or crumble cornbread in it. She also loved to just eat cornbread and buttermilk. Something she grew up on. All right, this is ready. I'm gonna let it just cool for a few minutes so Charles can try it for you. All right, Charles is gonna give it a try for you guys.
I feel like all I ever do on videos now is eat.
Brick and I already had some. He was out getting some paint for Ronnie's room, so.
I could like stand here right now and eat this whole bowl.
Well, good. You could eat the whole bowl. Try the cornbread.
As I slop and make a mess.
And then you get to go eat the whole bowl.
Very good.
Yeah, I ate the jalapeno one and it was very good. Sadly, I accidentally gave Brooke a jalapeno one. She's like, Mom! But then she ate a regular one too. She was like, it's so good.
Glad you didn't give me the jalapeno.
No, me, Kate, and Ash, and Jake like hot. Everybody else doesn't.
I can't even
My
imagine.
mother likes hot.
I can't even imagine what spice would be like in.
Oh, it's so good. So good. Sweet, spicy jalapenos. So good.
Are they our jalapeno?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The cowboy candy I made last year.
Well, very good.
All right, we'll see you guys at dinner. All right, so here is dinner. And I'll have Charles come give you a taste test. He's only doing carrots. And he'll probably do a salad too. All right, you ready?
I am ready. I have orange and no green.
I know, just for you. They're still a little crunchy. You just need to eat the roast and the bread. still gonna be a little bit
I want
hot.
people to know I eat vegetables. Just the ones I like.
Mm-hmm.
Mmm. That is really good. That is very good.
Thank you. Now the bread. Then you can go eat. You're ready to go eat. The bread.
I don't want to stop eating.
No.
Very good. It's not too dense. It's not too fluffy or airy.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Again, very good bread.
Thank you, sir. We're going to go eat dinner.
You're getting that down to a science.
Yes, I am. All right, we're going to go eat dinner. All right, you guys, that's going to wrap it up for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give a big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Bye, everybody. Have a great day or night, wherever you are.